Welcome to another episode of Reseller Evolution. I'm Scott.
And I'm Carl.
And how's it going, Carl?
Oh, it's pretty good. Episode 27.
Episode 27. Yes.
Yeah. We're going to talk about organization and tools of the trade.
Yeah. Organization was one of the topics that Randy suggested. And we kind of touched upon it briefly last week, but I think we can go into a little bit more detail for sure on this week. And then tools of the trade, probably not much to talk about on that one, but I'd like to touch upon it because there's some things that I've started using from watching other YouTubers that I think are they just make the job a lot easier. You know what I mean? So I think they kind of go hand in hand as well. Organization of your tools as well. So
yeah, a lot of it's going to be obvious, but maybe we'll give a new idea of what we think of certain tools. I have a long list, but we'll zip through it. We're not going to talk about each tool in detail. This is a tape gun. This is how you use a tape gun.
Yeah, no, I don't mean it like that. I just mean like interesting tools that can help you with doing different things. But we'll get in that for sure. And second of all, you got a little bit of a cough still.
Oh, man. It's only when I talk.
It's only when you talk. Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, that's fine. I mean, you had the big C, so it's one of those things that just it's no secret, but it can linger on for a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah, especially the cough. I've talked to a few people say it's months.
Okay. Well, it's definitely a lot better than what you were. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So how was your week?
Okay, my week was what was my week? I'm trying to think of what I did this week. My week was just kind of very plain. You know what though? The booths did very well Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I'm so jealous of your booths. I'm this close to like emailing someone who has one of those malls and asking them how long the waiting list is.
Yeah, so I'm going to say not all malls are the same. I mean, I'm very lucky because it's a busy store, but the rent is very reasonable.
The rent's reasonable, and it's close by to your house.
Oh, yeah, it's very close.
For me, it's an hour out there and then an hour back. And it's hard to, like, all of them are like that. There's none near me. So it makes a big difference to your costs when you have to put that. You can't just, I can't just pop over and see how it's going. That's
yeah, that's very. So what I think if I was an hour away, I'd still have a booth, but because I'm so close, it allows me to have multiple booths. So I have 3 in total, and they're very large. So I can go over there 2-3 times a week. It's a 10-minute drive. Sometimes I'll just go to Waterford just to grab a coffee from Timmy's because I don't know why. You guys can let me know in the chats if you find this wherever you're from. But if I go to any other Tim Hortons around here, it does not taste as good as Waterford's. Now, some people will say it's the water that it comes from over there, but I don't know what it is, but it definitely tastes better.
I'm way too cheap to buy coffee, man. I make it every single morning. That's one of my jobs to actually make the coffee. And Timmy's isn't very good. I said it. What can I say? I don't think I think McDonald's coffee is so much better.
Well, McDonald's coffee actually has the old Tim Hortons recipe.
That's the rumor. Yeah. The old supplier.
Yeah, and I'll definitely go to McDonald's for sure. I don't know, Timmy's. I like Timmy's coffee. It's just one of those things, but I don't have any complaints at all for McDonald's coffee.
So the booth is doing good. How are your online sales going?
So yeah, the eBay sales we're doing okay. I can't really remember the number here, but I probably had. I'm thinking about 10 to 15 sales throughout the week, but they were all low sales. They're all small ones.
Yeah.
I think on Tuesday, I'm trying to remember if it's the weeks are kind of a blur, but I think I had like 8 to 10 just go out on between Monday and Tuesday, and then I had a couple go out yesterday. I think 4 or 5 go out yesterday, so I think it was 5. But I also got a refund request yesterday.
Oh dear!
And I'm kind of disappointed on this one because I tried to call eBay and talk to a rep, because the guy sent in photos and he said that what I had given him was the wrong information. So what this was a curved glass from an antique place. It was $75, an antique
Oh yeah,
pitcher,
yeah,
and I measured it and I had the ruler sitting over it. So my measurement was absolutely accurate. And he showed a tape measure, and his tape measure was slanted. So it's going to skew the amount. So if he would have leveled that tape measure, it would have been exactly what I had said. What I think has happened is he had a picture and he bought it and it didn't fit. So now he's trying to blame it on me.
right.
You know what I mean? And I don't think that that's right. I think if my measurement's correct, which I clearly have rulers in there showing the measurements,
Yeah,
and like that's not my fault. That's like buying a shirt that's a medium and then you get it and say, well, I actually wanted a large. Well, that's, you screwed up, not me, right? Why am I paying the penalty? But anyways, I couldn't get a hold of eBay because it just kept shooting me, send an email, send an email, send an email. So I sent an email to them explaining how disappointed I was that I couldn't talk to a rep, that I ended up having to refund something that I think was incorrectly, you know, they were incorrectly asking for a refund.
right.
And I ended up losing money on the deal and I have no one to talk to about it.
That's one of the frustrating things about this is you pay for that service. You pay for eBay reps. And if they're not responding or they can't respond, then it feels like you're not, we're paying that 13, 15% in fees. Part of that goes to that. And like the frustrating thing I found is that they got so much better for such a long time, the eBay reps. It was great. Every time we had a problem, I dealt with it. I prefer the online chat system, but it worked. And then they've gone back to being bad again. And they actually talked about it in the eBay Open saying, yeah, we know we changed things and people aren't as happy. It's like, well, of course they're not as happy because even without the circumstance of what you're talking about, like the cut and dry ones, people are losing them. And it's like, why are they losing this when there's no like what ifs here? They just the places have gone back to like, we need to close these tickets as fast as possible. We don't care if people are losing. It's just frustrating when like they fix something and then they broke it again.
Yeah, they sent me a message back and it was
Yeah,
relatively quick, probably within 5 or 6 hours, stating that if I click on this link, it'll take me to a rep. But I mean, I shouldn't have to go through all this rigmarole. I don't want to be a whiner and a complainer to eBay. I like eBay, you
yeah,
know, but I don't think that I should have to take it on the chin because, well, in the long run, you're making more. If somebody's scamming me, I want to make sure that I have the right to block it. I want to make sure that I'm not being affected because they're saying it's not as described when it totally was as described. And I just want to make sure these little things are being overlooked and I'm getting dinged. Like, okay, I'm getting dinged because I'm losing on the item, but eBay's going to ding me because now I've just sold something that not as described. Like, I just want to make sure everything's on the up and up and they can clearly see. I had a guy send me a thing saying, I didn't buy this. I didn't receive it. I don't know why it's showing that he bought it. Right? Like, he gave me
what?
a
That's
neutral
weird.
feedback. Yeah, I
What?
can even read it to you. But he gave
That's
me a
weird.
neutral feedback on it. And I didn't send anything to him. And so I called
Oh,
eBay and
that is weird.
they didn't do anything. You know what I mean? So
That is really weird.
yeah, so I'll tell you exactly what it said. I don't remember buying this, and if I did, I didn't get it. And it was an Ewok, and it was a $35 item, you know. So I'm like, and I talked to a rep on that, and he said, yeah, that should be taken off. It's still there. Nobody took it off. It's a neutral, but eBay didn't take it out. I didn't send it to him. He doesn't remember buying it. I didn't send it to him. Like, I don't remember him buying it either. So
Yeah, this stuff gets in your head. I just remembered now we're talking about last night. I had dreams about getting negatives and a whole bunch of neutrals on my profile. I should check this morning. I haven't checked yet. Hopefully, I don't have any surprises there. But yeah, no, it is frustrating. Like that's why I prefer the chat because at least with the chat, if I get a promise in the chat, I had a physical copy of it. People say, well, there's a copy of the voice, but we don't get a copy of it. So it's pretty useless when you're trying to fight back. But I get the frustration. I find like returns in general are my weakness. Is I wish there was an easier, quicker way to process them from the United States back to Canada. And I don't know if there is. You have to go through pirate ship or something else. It's a big pain in the butt. Sometimes it feels like they pay for the shipping, then you need to compensate them. Like, honestly, it's such a pain that the amount of money that you're talking about, I'll probably deal with it. But a lot of times it's just not worth it. But it's
Yeah,
so
it wasn't
frustrating
worth it
when you
because I
feel
would
like
have had
you
to
can do the
pay.
right.
I would have had to pay for the label for it to come back, but it's a piece of glass, and I know they're not going to pack it the way I packed it to make sure it
No.
got there. Okay, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now I'm going to put more money into shipping something back to me that I know is going to come back broken.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
there's the probability is probably 60 or higher percent that it's going to be broken because it's not going to be packed properly.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to cost $20 to ship back. So I'm pretty sure that's what it cost me to send it. But okay, how was your week, Carl?
Well, guess what happened on the hottest day of the year?
Well, what happened?
What would be a horrible thing to happen on the
Your
hottest day?
air conditioner broke.
My air conditioner broke.
Oh no, you kidding me?
I'm like in this string of just like every week I come on here, I have something new to bitch about. And yes, this week is my air conditioner broke.
Well,
And
ours is too cold here. So it's
really? You're wearing
actually
a sweater and a hat.
downstairs. I got to put a sweater on half the time because it's so cold.
Yeah, we do too. Anyways, we got that fixed. It wasn't that big deal, but that was kind of annoying.
The hottest day. Woo.
Yeah, that was hot and muggy too, right? Like
Yeah.
people don't know, but Ottawa gets really muggy, so our heat's a little different.
We feel the humidity here really hard too. I think maybe because we're by the lake. I don't know, but it gets
Right.
very humid. But it's a wet
So,
cold in the wintertime too, right? So
yeah, we get that too. Well, it
yeah.
depends. Like last year, anyways. Listen,
Yeah, last year we didn't have a winter, so
we didn't have a winter. It was fine.
yeah, for about a week, that was it.
This weekend it rained. At least that's what I'm saying. So I didn't have to get up to do.
You guys, oh yeah, we had rain in the late in the day.
We did too.
Yeah, but
I checked for like community wides, and I didn't see any.
Yeah,
and I didn't feel like wandering around looking for garage sales. And I also picked up a couple max solds, so I was kind of happy with that. So
okay,
so that made it so I felt I didn't need to go.
As far as buying for me, I did okay. It wasn't great. I mean, I got some good deals, but I didn't get a lot of deals. I ended up buying the lights for a train track. It's in the booth. But you know the blinking lights, they have the black rims and the red light that blinks. Well,
Yeah.
there's 4 of them. There's 2 on each side. So I'm not sure if there's any accidents that happened in the 1970s. It's probably because these lights were stolen. I don't know.
I know, right? I was gonna make that joke, but you beat me to it.
But no, I don't know where they get them. I know a lot of tracks have been torn down here around this area. Like they've
Same
been
here.
uprooted and removed. So
Yeah.
they probably got them that way. But I probably overpaid for them, but I think they look good in the booth. I got $800 on them. I paid $180, and they do work, but I have to hook them up, and they're not hooked up. So people, I don't know if they're gonna realize they work or whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, for $180, if I can hang them up in the ceiling, put them in my booth, get them blinking, I mean, I'm okay with that. You know, sometimes you have to invest a little bit just to make your booth look interesting. But
Yeah, you gamble too. Like I picked up an ephemera lot, and I was hoping it was full of postcards. I think it had like 5 postcards in it.
ooh,
The rest of it was just like correspondence from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, maybe 50s. But it's kind of boring. So it's like I was umming and ahhing what to do because it's like it's all these envelopes, right? They have the stamps all used on them. They're Canadian or 90% Canadian. And it's not that interesting stuff. It's like, how's the weather over there? But someone said to make an auction lot about it on eBay, and it might be okay.
oh, okay.
So it was, I think it was $18. I'll probably just break even on that. But then I got another big board game lot, and one of the games is worth at least 150. Another one's worth 50, which was a surprise. I paid 18. See, and this is when it would be nice to have a booth, because I tell you, 90% of these board games and games are just going to be donated back,
Yeah.
because it's like things like Scrabble, Monopoly, you know, all Remoli, Rummy, all that stuff, right? That's just common stuff that I can't sell. I can't sell online because I won't get enough money to pay for the shipping, and it's just too common stuff. But if I had like a booth and I put like, I don't know, $5 on it, they'd probably just fly out the window, out the door. But I don't have a booth, so it's all that stuff. By not having a booth, I'm losing out probably on $50. Not the end of the world,
Yeah.
but I have a lot of stuff like that. So, what are you gonna
Yeah.
do?
I don't know. I mean, I know you're thinking, you've always thought in the back of the head that maybe someday you get back into the booth scene, but I think it's a, like, I have three large booths and I can see the day maybe where I condense it down to two, or maybe the one downstairs and the small one upstairs or something, like, or two big ones. Like, I'm not sure exactly how big I'm gonna downsize in the booth, but I can see that day happening once I get caught up around here. I mean, I think the majority of your income is going to come from online. Like, I think that's,
We should do an episode on that. What's the math involved in all these different things? Because like Facebook Marketplace, selling on local auctions, all that stuff. Because honestly, I don't really pay much attention to that.
yeah, that'd be interesting. The only thing that I think with the booth is you're always paying like before the sale in the form of rent, and then you got
Yeah.
to pay commission. Where eBay is just strictly commission, but it's calculated differently because of shipping and all that kind of stuff. So, um,
It is an interesting calculation, because it's like, okay, let's say you pay $250 for your booth. I'm just saying, right?
yeah,
And then you're paying 10% generally on top of that.
yeah,
Then you have to take into account that sometimes you get higher money for things in on eBay than you would in the booth. But you also have to take it into account, like the board games I just mentioned, that they're valueless for me online, but in the booth I could make $5 each or whatever.
yeah.
So it's
And,
like
but
there's
there's
a balance
but
there.
the other benefit that I don't want to overlook too is that there's a lot of things that doesn't fit eBay because it's too big,
Too big. Like I have a big fish behind me
right?
that I'm not going to ship online.
But if
You
I could pay
could, but
$10 and get 200 for it, but it's too big, I don't want to pass that up when I can put it in the booth. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. And for that 10% you're paying in the booth, you're getting a service. You're getting the service if someone has to sit there and take sales all day, which is like, that's the real service. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of
100%.
like why people like fulfilled by Amazon, where you send them a box and they deal with it. It's like, yeah, the fees are higher, but you just send in the box, like,
Yeah.
or in this case, you just put things on a shelf, right? So the math is interesting. Like, and can you pump in enough stuff to make it worthwhile? Because I look behind you now, Scott, and it looks a lot emptier. Every week we talk, it seems like a whole bunch of stuff is gone. So you must
Uh,
be pumping through good things too.
nothing has gone from the last time, just those two shelves.
Right.
But it's kind of a misnomer, Carl, because I just put it in boxes and I built another shed, put up another shed in the backyard.
Okay.
And I emptied the really weatherproof one and put everything that was outside, but it went into this temporary one. And now I just filled everything. I had to get it out of my headspace. However, that being said, on the realistic side too, I mean, that's true, but realistically too, a lot of stuff went to the booth, but I really focused on clearing out this room here because I knew my headspace cleared.
Yeah.
And I've put all those, like the floor you can't see here, but the floor was covered in like 11 boxes, 12 boxes of uh, orthopedic insoles. I got them all listed.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I got those done yesterday, and so they're up, and so now that's out of here. So now I can focus a lot on what's going on here. The only thing about the booths, okay, so I'm kind of digressing here, and I know we always get on a tangent of some type before we even get to anything, Carl.
Right.
But and maybe I should save this for organization. No, this is really not organization. But anyway, there's a lot of, like, even though it's only 10, 15 minutes away, the booth, Like it consumes a lot of time. Where for eBay, you come down here, you take some photos, and you list it, but it's all here. You know what I mean? So there's that aspect too, but it's a different set. Like I think there's pros and cons. So I think maybe in some ways, maybe I've overstretched. Not I haven't right now because I have lots of stuff, but maybe I don't need three large booths. Maybe I can condense it down. You know what I mean? It's something I'm playing in my head, but I'm
Mhm.
definitely I'm going to be doing what I'm doing for another 6 months to a year before I even consider that. But I can see myself eventually getting everything here under control and then going to maybe a little bit reduced booth just to reduce that kind of workload where I can focus that time on eBay. You know what I'm saying? So
The other thing was if you have too much space, then you'll put crap in there just to fill up space. And
well,
then the return on your square footage isn't that good
well,
because you have
I'm going to stop you there, and I don't want because I don't want to lose the subject.
okay.
So that's a good point, and it really makes a lot of sense on paper. But the reality is,
Hmm.
and what I've done is my downstairs booth kind of, for the most part, takes care of my best stuff.
Yes.
The big one upstairs is kind of that middle road. If it
Yeah.
sits for a long time downstairs, maybe I'll put it upstairs. Or, if I don't have room downstairs, I'll take good items up there. But there's the aspect of both good and kind of lower end stuff. And then my smaller, which isn't a small booth, it's just a narrower booth compared to the other two, is just kind of you know, your your bottle openers, your smaller stuff, your knick-knacky stuff. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a lower booth. However, sometimes those booths do amazing. Like I'll have children's books, and they're not worth more than 3, 5. If you went online, they're $6, $7. But I like last week I put $5 a piece, and someone came in and bought like 20 of them. I have train books. I have $5 a piece. Somebody came in there and bought a bunch of them. That's where my horror movie DVDs go. My records go. My bottle openers. I have like depression glass or aqua blue bubble glass. It's called, which is a vintage type of dishware glasses and glassware. And they'll come in there and they'll buy tons of that stuff all in one shot. And it's like I make a lot of money. Like that kind of stuff is more than making is paying for itself. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm.
So you can have good stuff, but it tends to be high priced, which turns a lot of people away. And you can have some lower end stuff that really you have nothing invested in, very like peanuts, and people will gobble that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a struggle. It's kind of a struggle of where do you go with all this, right? But then you'll see a war helmet or a knife sell for $145 each. You know what I mean? And that's out of your good booth, and it's like one sale just equated 20 of those other
Yeah,
sales, and I'm like,
that's see, you just kind of took the wind out of my sails because
yeah,
that's where it's going. Because I remember I discouraged someone by accident because they were doing online sales, selling all these DVDs and blah blah blah. They had all these sales. And I was like, oh, I sold 100 of those. And I said, yeah, but you also sold one thing that equated to you packing like 50 items. And was it worth your time? Because it's like you could look at the volume of stuff that you're selling out of that booth and going like, oh wow, I sold 100 things out of there. But if the average sale price of that 100 things was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna make something up, $2, then it might have been better never to have those things in the first place, right?
well, it,
I'm not saying that's the situation in your booth. I'm not saying that. I'm just
right.
saying you have to be careful you don't get caught down that trap of like, oh, look how many sales I have in this list. But then when you go and do the math at the end, it doesn't make sense to have that third booth, right?
Well, I think I'm going to throw it back at you just to put it in perspective. When you talk about your postcards that you sell for $5 to $10,
Yeah.
but they're nothing to ship. So if I get a bunch of CDs, it's just a tag
Yeah.
$3, or a record, it's $10, or a book I just write in pencil on the inside cover, $5. So those type of lower end stuff are really nothing to deal with. I don't have to lock them up either. I don't have to, like, other than somebody coming in and kind of tossing them around because they're looking through them, I'll just juggle them back. But everything else has to be locked up, or it has to be displayed properly, or it had to be clean because
Yeah.
Sometimes the cheaper stuff is just really easy to deal with too.
Yeah. For me, my postcards, I have my entire collection of postcards in one box here, right?
And a postcard, it's the same thing when you're buying it. You could buy, 200 postcards for $20, right? I could buy a box of CDs that's got 50 to 100 CDs in it for $10 or $20, and I'm throwing $3 to $4 on them, and then I just set them in the booth. Like,
see,
that's really appealing.
Okay,
right?
okay, let's stop here because this is kind of, we could have this discussion, and I think this would be interesting for me. Screw the audience. I'm interested in this. So let's keep this one before we go too far into it. Let's do that for our next topic. Let's talk about the math and the time investments of reselling and what our thoughts are on that.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we're going to miss out on that. So let's keep going. You asked me how my week was. My AC broke. I picked up some board games. One interesting thing that I do, and a tip I have, is if you buy something in an auction site and you have to go pick it up anyways, and it's like, especially for an online sale, what I do is I go and see all the auction lots. Like, once I know I've won a lot, so I have to go no matter what. I go look at the other lots that have no bids on them, and I'll throw $1 at it and just see. And because of that, I picked up a couple of other lots, and it's just garbage, right? So I got a whole bunch of books. Would have been great for a booth, by the way. It's all cheap paperbacks, but things like science fiction, stuff like that, I had to donate it all because it had no value. But I took the chance that there's something in there for $1.
Yeah.
I took the chance. There was nothing in there. So the only cost was that $1.50 with the fees and then my time to actually move the books. But I was there anyways. But the other lot I got was just trinkets. And most of it's garbage. But you know what? There's a tin in there worth $25. There are these little hostage cards that are worth $30 that I had no idea was even in there. Both of those will take no work to do. And I was willing to gamble for $1, especially since I had to go anyways. So in this case, it paid off. And apart from that, my sales have been pretty bad. There's no defending it. No. But I've every YouTube channel I go on, though, to be honest, everyone's complaining about sales. So I think it's the summer slowdown. The market's changed. If I was to do on the math, I need double the amount of listings as I did a year ago to get the same amount of sales. People don't want to face that fact. And to be blunt, the shit that I have online is doing shit. But the good shit will always be the great shit that sells online. Like anything I list that's good now, it will go within a week or two. It's the old stuff that used to sell a little bit is sitting around.
Well,
anywho, should we go into the comments from the last show?
Well, I'm just going to add to that because I think there's so I'm still selling things online, like compared to what I'm listing, which I'm really not doing much listing, especially now that the film crew is here and I've been busy doing that. My average sale price per item has dropped to 57.63, where it was in the 80s to 100, right? So it really dropped. And a lot of my sales have been under $100. A lot of them are between 35 and $65. So, so now I'm about 57.63 as an average. So I think there is, I know other people have talked about it and we've kind of said, I haven't seen it here. I haven't seen that happen here, the slowdown and all this kind of stuff. So I'm kind of wondering, I'm seeing and hearing a lot of stuff happening now where factories around here that I know people are working at, they're not hiring right now because it's kind of slow. They're not laying off or anything, but they're not getting overtime. They're asked if they want a couple days off. So that's starting to happen too now. So we might be kind of in the beginnings of a slow period, or it could be just the time of year it is too, right? But
Or it could be both.
or it could be both. I think we might start seeing a slowdown. I know other people have talked about it. I just haven't seen it here. I know the booth is still doing well, but a lot of the people that are buying out of the store are probably people with money anyways. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it can be a different market.
Right? So it's one of those things that I'm really trying to keep an eye on now. I mean, for the first time ever, like, and I might have talked about this in a previous show, but within the last month or so, I've actually seen people, living in areas in tents, and I have never ever seen that around here ever. Right? So it doesn't mean that they don't have a job, but it probably means that they can't afford rent because it's crazy high. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking people are maybe starting to get hit in certain areas now a little harder. Not saying that it's full blown right now, but I'm starting to see those stages happen here where other people have talked about it in the past. I hadn't seen it here, but maybe I'm starting to see it now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that issue is something that's affected me a little bit in the well, it hasn't affected me. I mean, I've seen here in the suburbs, which I'd never seen before. So
yeah. So we'll see. I'm going to keep an eye on it. And I mean, I think everybody will, but hopefully it doesn't go too hard, and hopefully it switches around soon.
I
Or
think the
maybe
main thing is don't be discouraged by it, because
right.
we don't have control over that. I still think if you put up good stuff with a high value sales
Yep.
amount,
Yep.
you'll do fine. Just be aware that some of the stuff that was never really in demand seems to be less in demand now, and I think that was a shock for people, because when people were bored before, like, people were buying all sorts of crap. There's been a softening in lots of markets. Like, I heard the comic book market softened. Postcards the same way, I've heard. Maybe even video games, I don't know, but I tell you, like, if I put up 10 things now, 5 things are going to sell within a couple of weeks, as long as my price is right. It's just that, I had 1,300 items, and like a lot of them, my sales percent, like how much of my inventory I sell every month, has dropped by a lot, like 60, 70, 80% or something like that. I should do the math and bring it up, but that's okay for me. Like I said, this isn't my income. So, but if it was my income, yeah, it'd be stressful. But
I'm just going to quickly mention here items I had sold within the last week,
right.
maybe the last 4 or 5 days, but let's say last week. But it was a B&G figurine. A Canadian art potter made a figurine of it was spaghetti hair, but it was a bricklayer that sold. A book, 3 ammo belts in one lot, so that was one purchase, but there was a lot of 3 ammo belts. Like I said, that Marineland brochure, a video game, a brass decor pieces. These aren't needs; these are wants, right? Like ice cream, 1920s pewter strawberry ice cream mold, a button for a video game advertisement from the 90s, a piece of pottery. These are all wants, they're not needs.
Yeah, most of my stores is wants and not needs, to be honest. Like
radio station memorabilia from 1931. It's just a letterhead, right? 2 Toby mugs, a book and a belt. Like, again, like they're not needs, that's for sure. So I just want to quickly go through a few of the items. Plus, the items that are selling out of the booth are definitely wants; they're not needs, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't think there's a needed item in my booth. I think it's all
well, it's not what we specialize. We're not really into, like, the only
unless the record players taste really good from 1970. I don't know. They're not the player, but the record. Put some peanut butter on that vinyl.
Nice. I think
But
the only needs I have is like things like toner and ink and stuff like that. Like everything
well, I
else.
have insoles and socks
Oh yeah,
online,
yeah, it's
but
true.
again, they're equestrian socks, so they're not. They're more. I don't know. I don't know. I guess they're cheaper, and if you need them, but yeah, most again, even online, I can't really think of too many needs that I'm selling. But all right, Carl, that was a long. That's there. There's another good show. Oh wait, we got
Wait,
comments and we still got the topic today. So
yeah,
oh
exactly.
Christ,
God.
rambling on, rambling on. I'm bad for that. But okay, so let's get to the comments here. And do you want to start off with the first one, or do you want
Right.
me to?
No, I'll do it.
Okay.
From Randy.
Yeah.
Carl. Please listen. The point of the story was not what the items were, trains, or where you sell them. It was how Scotty framed the negotiations.
Ah,
That
yes.
was superb. Drop the price without being negative and putting a positive slant for a buyer on why you should accept less. Always great start to Friday. Thanks, Randy. Well, thank you, Randy. You know what? After I gave you a thumbs up for that comment, just so you know. I also went and listened again to that, and you're totally right. It's like I know what happened. It's like the second you mentioned train, Scott, my brain went straight to reject all trains, reject all
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
my rule set, right? And
Yeah.
then I got obsessed with that rather than listening to what you talk about, which is negotiation, which is always what I'm begging you to talk about
I know. I know.
negotiation.
Yes.
So I admit, Randy, yes, you're right. I was not a good listener, but it's just funny how I'll listen to the show again, and I know you talked about that too, and it was like we weren't listening. We weren't listening to each other, or we kind of missed the point. That's it. But Randy, you're right. Like it was about the negotiation, and I'll probably even listen again just so I get more tidbits because it's like it doesn't matter what, like Randy said, it doesn't matter what it was. It could have been Pokemon cards. It could have been board games. Who cares what it was? It was about the negotiation technique in that situation. So yes, Randy, you're right.
And I'm gonna add to, like, we live in different areas. Like, well, this is rural area. Like the town was population of probably 1,000 to 1,500. Like it's a small little town, right?
For
So
200 years,
what's that?
you had that population.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, like, but
No,
I'm
I'm not
just
even
saying,
kidding. I'm not even kidding. Like you have that time period where people live there, where we
right?
don't have that here.
Oh, I
Like,
see what you're saying. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, so when I talk to people, it's that
mhm,
small town talk. Like you've known them for years.
yeah,
Where when you go to the city, maybe I carry that attitude too. I don't really pick in the city too often, but you guys in the city maybe have a different way of communicating, and maybe that's. I'm just trying to think because I remember I pulled in his driveway and I'm already putting down his truck being a Dodge, expecting him to hammer my truck for being a Chevy. You know what I mean? Because that's just what we do to each other. Like it's just fun. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
it's a way of that's a way of building rapport quickly, right?
That wasn't
You're
part of my
joking though. No,
negotiation.
yeah.
However, it probably plays a part of that.
Well, you relax everyone,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
otherwise you don't know, okay, what's going to happen now? What's this person like coming up to my sale? Is he going to be a pain in my butt or is he going to be someone I can relate to, right?
yeah,
We all try and, when I walk up to any sale, I try to build a bit of rapport. We always talk about the same thing. It's early in the morning. Thank God it didn't rain. Oh, I wish I had a coffee. You know, how's it being? Like that sort of thing. It's not fake. It's just a way of relaxing everyone in what can be an awkward situation.
yeah. I was just thinking that now too, like as part of the negotiation. But
Mm-hmm.
um, so once I don't know. Anyway, I do appreciate the comment, Randy, for 100%. And yeah, that was totally my point for the negotiation was and it was something that just kind of hit me as we were going along. I haven't done it before, and it seemed to pay off. Like you know, so anyway, it seemed to work. But I'm going to move over to Spotify because we have a comment on Spotify.
Ooh,
Like
exciting.
ding ding. What? Hang on. I had bells here. Where's my bells?
You
Oh,
gave
hang
them
on.
to Adam. Oh no. Here you go.
Okay, there's a spot. That's a Spotify comment. Tina Mack. So this is the second time Tina Mack has put in a comment. Glad to hear I'm not the only one looking for an item for hours, even being pretty well organized. My
Oh my
favorite topic
god,
is always bolos, and her bolo is plush. People often don't bother,
gosh, yeah.
but had several $100 plus plushes.
I do, I do keep an eye out for plush very casually. Like I look for Mario Brothers stuff,
Yeah,
because I know that can have value. If something grabs my attention in the plush, I honestly don't look as I'm not digging through the plush. But yes, I know there's one channel who does mostly plush, and he seems to do really well. I have no excuse because I'm right there. There's no reason not to look. But yeah, plush has been my weakness. I have sold it technically though. You?
yes, I've sold plush online a few times. My banana and pajamas. When you have the pair of
Oh
them,
yeah,
I've sold those.
that's a while
Um,
ago now.
but a lot of my plush actually goes into the booth. Uh, I've sold ETs, elves, uh, uh, not yeah, gremlins. The gremlins.
Hmm.
I've sold those out of my booth. I've sold wrestling plush. I've sold oh gosh, I mean there's other plush that I've sold, but I've also had old plush that sits for a long time too, right? So it's kind of that weird thing that you hope it sells. Um, I've had dolls that were plush, like big comfy couch. They actually do very well.
Is that
Um,
from Pee Wee's Playhouse?
no, a big comfy couch was its own spin-off. It's a girl with I think you call them pigtails, the ones that come out the side here. She's got black hair. She's kind of dressed up like a clown. And
Uh huh. I
yeah,
don't
well,
want to
it was
know
when my son was a baby, like
that.
he would watch that.
Okay.
Yeah. Big Blue House too was another one, but Blue's Clues. That's it. Bear in the Blue. Oh gosh, just come memories. You have when you don't have kids, do you, Carl?
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Well, hours and hours of watching cartoons. It's like, oh, you just gotta. That's the way to get them to sleep. But anyway, so yeah, my favorite are always bolos. So those are so she's given us a topic there actually too. Is bolos?
And you know that organization not being able to find something, that
Yeah.
was me on Monday. I couldn't find out of 5 sales, I couldn't find 2 of them.
Oh no.
I was going nuts.
Yeah.
And it's because I didn't put them away properly.
Yeah.
Like one of them was magazines. Like I have a whole bunch of guitar magazines and not guitar magazines, drum magazines. And I had them in order of the dates. And for some reason, one year, 1983, I just decided to put it into another box somewhere else. So that took me a while. And then another one was like a mixed lot. And it's like the worst thing is I'd seen it. And it's like I put it in a weird spot. And of course, then it sold. So Joe, so yeah, I'm not perfect with that stuff too. But we'll talk about, you know, it's so frustrating every time it happens, but I don't think there's a solution to it of losing stuff on occasion. Now, there's ways you can try and prevent as much as possible. But unfortunately, we're going to screw up sometimes. I think it happens to everyone. I call it the game of like search for your item like game, and I hate that game. I get so, and usually what happens is I trash my place because I'm
Yeah.
like looking everywhere. It's like, where the hell did I put this? And then I never clean up again. And then it's like, or I repeat the same problem. I put something somewhere weird. It's like, Carl, don't do this, and then you do it anyways, and you regret it. But we'll talk about it organized. Like, thankfully, it doesn't happen that often. But for me, at least, I don't think there's a 100% solution to it. And it happens to businesses too, big businesses. I'm sure they have inventory problems too. But
Well, I think because we're running so long here, I think we're going to have to drop tools of the trade. We'll do that next week, but we'll continue what we got another 15, 20 minutes here.
okay,
But I'm going to touch a little bit about the organization topic. And one of the ways, as far as not losing things, is I just did, and I've done this before for socks and belts, and now I've done it with the insoles. Is a way of organizing and categorizing those items, because I have men's and women's. They look in the same box. I have size 8, size 9, size 11 and 12, size 12 and 13. Like there's all these sizes too, right? So I think organization can help with a lot of different things as far as losing things. And I think that's going to happen for sure. And Lonnie and Candace just lost their top rated seller because of not being able to find things. But what they've done is they were cross listing, and
Oh
some of the things that sold on other platforms, they
yeah.
forgot to take it off of eBay. So now they've lost that. So they were a little embarrassed and, kind of distraught, and now they're going to work hard to get it back. But those things are going to happen to everybody. But I think
So so,
organization and
so let's just
categorization.
start. Just before you go down, let's start with what you do now. Like when you list something on eBay,
Yep.
how do you track where it goes?
Track where it goes. Like,
Like
how
when
do
you
I
list
have
it,
my inventory set up?
you've now listed your Pokemon or
Okay,
whatever
so
it is, your plush.
yep.
How,
So
or maybe
what
plush
I'll
is
do
actually a bad example, but
what I'll do is I'll take my photos,
yep,
usually 5 to 10 items at a time,
yep,
and then I'll list them.
yep,
Those items go into a box, and once they're fully listed, the reason I keep them down here and not put them upstairs into the eBay store, like inventory room, is because sometimes I want to kind of look at something that maybe I didn't notice, or maybe the picture didn't show clearly what the company name was that's on the whatever. I sometimes I need that item and I don't want to run up and grab it and look for it and everything else and come back. So I just keep the box here. Once those items are listed, then I'll take those items and I'll put them on shelves upstairs. I have each shelf. So this is I'm going to tell you how I do it, but it doesn't mean that I follow it with everything. So what I do is I'll have each shelf listed as like shelf 1, 2, 3, and the whole room just has shelves going right around. You know what I mean? And then each level of shelf is given a letter. So if it's right, so A, B, C.
yeah. It's
But
funny
what I'm
because we're
saying is,
opposite.
what's
Yeah,
that?
it's just funny because we do the opposite. But keep going.
So what I'll do is I'll um so sometimes what I've done, I know this is bad and it can't happen forever, but sometimes what I'll do is take stuff from one shelf and put it on another one because there's space and I want to kind of just tighten everything up. But none of my stuff goes in boxes. I shouldn't say none, but those stuff don't go in boxes. The stuff that goes in boxes, I will keep where they're supposed to. But so I'm kind of digressing. So what I've done
I
with
get worried as we were going on.
what I do with what I do with the inventory on the insoles is each box will have a number, like box 1, box 2, box 3, right? I don't know, 13, 14, 15 boxes. And they'll have like there might be one item, but I'll have quantity of 15 or 13. That'll be all in one box.
Right,
So when I go to my SKU number in my eBay store, it
right.
sells, it'll tell me what box it's in.
Okay. So you just explained part of it. You use the SKU.
Yes.
So on eBay, there's a SKU option. I highly recommend you use it.
Right.
Some people put the box in the title, which I highly discourage you from doing, uh, because there's no point. Number one, and it takes away some of your title room. And the SKU is perfectly fine for where you store something. And when you on your order page, you can show the SKU. So when I have my orders, I know I have a little notepad and I just say what boxes are in from the SKUs, and then I just go grab everything. So I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just saying the fact that
No.
you use the SKU field on eBay is what you do.
Yes. So I kind of rambled on there probably, but because it's not complicated, but it's wordy because things are just organized differently, right? So like if it's a small pin or a badge, I'll put case 1, case 2, case 3. I'll have action figures that are put in cases. and those will fit on a shelf, but I don't have to label that shelf because I know where all my cases are. I just have to find that case.
Mm,
Do you know what I'm saying?
yes.
So if I have boxes with, so what I did before is when I sold my socks, my equestrian socks,
Hmm.
I might have a lot for sale of 3 pairs. They will all go into a they go into a paper bag with and it's paper, so I write with marker on it like
Oh God, we're
15.
so different. We're so different.
So now I can go to my equestrian sock box and I pull
Yeah.
out bag 15, and
Yeah.
those 3 pairs of socks are in that bag.
Oh wow.
Is that good or bad?
We're just very different.
Why? What would you do?
We couldn't be more different. So I have some of the same things, which is like I have shells,
Yeah.
uh, just like people can't see, but the plastic shells is good enough for me. I know
Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah. Yeah.
some people say you should use metal because they
No.
go, but I've actually never had a problem. So
No.
um, and each shelf has a letter. So I have basically right now I have A to G. So how many of your shelves that is, right? Each shelf, and then the top shelf on that shelf is A1, and then next to it is sorry is what it's A11, right? It's the top one, and then next to it I can put another box, so it's A12. So with the letter A, I know it's shelf A. With the letter one, number one, I know it's the top one, and number one again is the first one in the row, in the
Yeah.
second one. So each shelf can hold 8 boxes. So I'll have, for example, A11 to A42. Sounds complicated, but it's not that complicated. So A means shelf A, and then 4 means the bottom shelf, in this case, the fourth shelf, and 2 means the second box on the fourth shelf. And I have all identical boxes. Everything I can goes into those boxes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when I list, right now, I have a box next to me, C21. So everything I list right now that can go into a box goes into that same C21. It doesn't matter what the item type is. I don't order by item types. It's just in the box. That deals with about 80% of the stuff I sell.
Yeah. So my stuff doesn't go in boxes. Mine sits on a shelf.
I can blindly go if I know which the letter is. I can go blindly to the back of my inventory area
Yeah.
and find the box that it's in without even opening my eyes. That's how organized that is.
So I can scan my shelves and see what I want.
As long as you have no problem finding it,
Yeah.
then you're okay. But
So
I'm not saying you do this, but I remember watching some of the big guys
yeah.
and they just try to remember where stuff is. And
So
if you have a good memory, more power to you.
yeah, no,
But
it's not. I don't have that good a memory. It's just my stuff is like out in the open, other than the socks or like the insoles, stuff that is kind of categories. You know what I'm saying?
I never categorized anything. Everything socks would go in there, digital cameras go in there, Pokemon figures go in there. Everything I do actually that's what Amazon does.
Yeah.
Amazon's the same way. Now
But
there's an
I
asterisk to
can't
that
do
though.
that because I can't mix a cowbell with a Royal Dalton figurine with
There's an exception to me.
an old bottle with a
Yeah.
book. You know what I mean? Because
So books to me don't go in that system. The books go on a shelf, all
yeah,
of my books.
how do you
Figurines,
set your books? Spine up or spine laying down?
oh, spine up, I guess.
No, you got to lay them down flat
Oh, really? Why?
because it weakens that spine. You haven't watched Dr. Lori? No, but it
My
weakens the
inventory sells
spine.
so quickly that's not an issue. I don't know.
Wow, touche, touche.
I haven't had a
But
complaint.
but I lay all mine. My books are older too, right? So they're they got age to them. But regardless, I lay them all flat, lay them down, and
Okay.
the spine is out, but it's laid flat as opposed to standing up. So just because it does weaken that spine.
Uh,
Um,
for
and
books,
what about worried about like do you have windows in that room?
No, I actually don't.
because you don't want sun damage and stuff. I
Yeah,
have
that's so
curtains.
quick to happen too. Like I left a just yesterday. There's a room I have upstairs where I'm getting sun damage and bugs me, but I don't have a curtain. Anyways, won't go into it. I left something on top of a book, and I moved it. It was a pocket knife, and now there's like a suntan around it, like a fading around that freaking pocket knife. But anyways, yes, where I store my books is really dark.
Okay.
Uh, also, I don't put teacups and stuff and figurines in boxes.
Okay.
That's on
Okay.
a special shelf. And
Yeah.
actually, I just label that as shelf in my inventory system because I
Oh,
know I can find it because I don't have such a high amount of stuff that I actually need. There's only one shelf. I have one basically IKEA bookshelf where all that stuff goes.
yeah.
So it's not an issue. Like for board games, it's the same way. I just lay it's shelf because I can see the board games and stuff like that. So not everything is organized like that, but I'm very happy with my organization. Like I said, the other day I lost two things, and I lost two things because I put them in weird areas. Like for the magazines, right? I might right now it just says shelf, and I put them in boxes. They don't go into a general box, but I might actually start actually lettering the magazine boxes. It's just that I haven't really sourced enough magazines that's been a huge issue yet, but it's becoming an issue. So, but the worst thing, the last thing you want to do is have no inventory at all, and then try and implement one later.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah. I don't like the fact that sometimes I start mixing shelves and bringing them over and tightening them up. But right now I can see everything and I can kind of just scan what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
If they're tiny items, like I say, they go in the trays anyways. Uh, some of like belt buckles or, they might go into a cardboard tray, which, maybe I have four or five. So I know that type of item will go in that tray. So right now
Yeah.
it's okay. But I could see like if I was to really start listing everything I could have in here, I'd have to be more strict on and not do that because items will start. It doesn't even matter if I don't lose it, but if it takes me like 20 minutes to look for it, that's a problem.
Oh,
You know what I
that's a
mean?
huge. Yeah, people don't account for that cost.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not that hard to have an inventory system.
No, no, it's
The only
not.
time things can go bad, I guess, is if I put the wrong SKU, which I have done. Um, then so I'd say like it's in B12 when it's really C41. That's a problem. Though thankfully it doesn't happen that often, but I'm not going to say it never happens. Also, all the bins I use are all the same type of bin from Home Depot, so they all fit on my shelves. They're all the same size. They're all clear. So worst case, I have done the look in the clear boxes looking for stuff. I'm not saying that's that successful, but at least I can do it. To me, standardization is really important. The other thing too, I'll do sometimes is if I have similar items, I might purposely put them in different boxes, just so I don't ship out the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I've only shipped out the wrong thing, I think, twice, maybe. It was annoying both times, but
Yeah, I
it's
don't think I've shipped out the wrong thing. I do double check it. I don't think so. Oh, yes, I did once. I shipped out the wrong bottle.
yeah,
I shipped out a bottle and they both had Brantford, but they were different sizes. And when I
yeah,
looked at the picture, I looked at the picture. I said, "Oh, that's the Brantford bottle." I go into the room. Oh, that's the Brantford bottle. I grabbed it. I shipped it, and the guy says, "This is the wrong size." So I told him to keep it, and I shipped him out the right one, just because it wasn't. It's a $30 bottle. It's not worth shipping it back for $15, right? It was here in
yeah,
Ontario.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I would have done the same thing.
but so I just shipped it out, and he was happy. Give me a 5-star review and stuff. So we do have one more comment from Randy that we didn't read
Okay.
off yet. Hey guys, informative show. I now have the shipping supplies on shelves in my garage instead of piles in the living room. Great way to
I
go. That's
don't know if
that's a good.
I don't know if he's being sarcastic there or not. I'm gonna assume he
No,
is being.
I believe him. He probably did do that. He, if he's anything like me, that was what it was.
Oh man, like that would drive me nuts. I I think he's making fun because remember I said I label all my boxes at the back.
Oh yeah, maybe. I know questions from eBay buyers. can be annoying, but if I just growl to myself, find the item, and answer the question, I usually get a sale. I mean, that's what you tend. I mean, that's just experience talking right there, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's
since
not
the
worth
last
getting
show.
all crazy about it. You just
No.
kind of you just push through it and move on and get the sale. So that's total experience talk right there, Randy. I agree. Never
Yeah.
send pictures of articles in a magazine because they can get what they want for free.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've heard
yeah,
of that. I believe it. Like,
yeah. You should do end and sell similar, not relist. eBay thinks sell similar is a new listing and will be higher on the searches. Thanks. Ah,
okay.
point. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So that's a debate that's happened forever.
yeah.
I tested it because
Oh,
both results, end and relist and in sell similar, both came up with new item numbers. And to me, if this new item, and I had watch list, I had not watch list, saved searches
yeah.
on a separate account, right? And both of the and the safe search got hit by both me ending and relisting and ending sell similar. They both sent me an email saying there was a new item.
So maybe what they're saying though is it's like listing a new item where the algorithms kick in and push your store out. Maybe it's not based on the item. Maybe it's based on activity in your store.
And then what I'm saying is I think the code is the same. I
Okay.
think if you end and relist or you end and sell similar, I think it's actually hitting the same code.
Oh,
I don't think
okay.
it's separate code. Now, that being said, the
Oh,
only thing I didn't test was the ranking in the search results. So, and I just know as I used to code, to me, it would be the same code. I wouldn't have one code for sell similar and one code for relisting an ended item. To me, it would be the same code because they're both creating, because I checked it. They're both, when you end and relist and you end and sell similar, they both get new item numbers. And that to me is very important, that item number, because if there's a new eBay item number, I think there's a new entry in their database. I don't know. I'm just guessing. And like I said, when I tested it with hitting the save searches, it was both the same thing. So I just like end and relist because it's a lot faster.
okay.
So, anyways,
Well,
rah, rah, rah. I
just make sure your SKU is the same so you can stay organized. That's all.
know. Oh, that, yeah. Oh, and also really be careful. And I don't know if they fix it, but the end and relist or end and sell similar. Um, I don't know if it's both or just one, but they would take your original quantity that you had in there and uh make it the same. So if like your original listing had a quantity of 20 and you sold 10, whatever, right? And
Yeah.
then relist or end sell similar, it would make the quantity go back to 20
Okay.
rather than 10. So you have
Okay.
to be careful. That's, I think, was causing problems. I don't know if they fixed that or not, but I know that was definitely an issue. And because people are like, oh shit, I'm out of quantity. And like, what happened? And it's like that was happening to a certain extent. So that being said, you should do end and relist or sell similar. I try to do it like once a month for the oldest stuff.
Yeah.
How much does it cost? It's free as long as you have your number of listings you're allowed to do a month, as long as you
I
have room.
I haven't found I had to do anything because my stuff sells.
That was revenge for 5 minutes ago.
I'm turning it back on you, but but no, I don't know. I haven't. I don't know. I think I did it like maybe a couple months ago. I just played around with maybe 10 items or something, but I couldn't tell you if it made a difference or not. Like I really wasn't paying attention to it. Um,
Can't
in
hurt
that way.
unless you know.
Yeah, I just think I did like 10 items or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as far as organization, we're winding down the show. Um, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but I would say like organizing your tools like tape and making sure you have enough of that kind of stuff we've touched on, but just I don't know, like know where your tools are. Like I mean that's one thing when I worked at Toyota, everything had a place and it had to be put
Yeah,
back. And
everything has a place. That
if
helps a
if
lot.
if anything
Mm-hmm.
is a debt like is horrible is when you have to look for stuff because it's
Oh
just a
my
waste
god.
of time and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
So I know where my tools are. I know where my packing supplies are, and I haven't got it set up because I have stuff I'm working around. But once I get this cleared up, it'll be set up more efficiently. But at least I know where everything is. You know
Every
what I
time you
mean?
have to search for something, just think of that as like dollar bills disappearing.
Yeah,
Anytime you have to like move stuff to get out to wander around your basement, think of it dollar bills disappearing. For my tools, everything that has its place is so important. But the other thing that's important is don't have tools in that area that you rarely use. So, I used to have like all these pens, like different colored pens in that area. It's like, why do I have these green, red, orange pens? Like they're just getting in the way of finding like the blue and the black ones I actually use, right? Don't have um excess materials in a spot just because they get in the way and it slows you down. So like, I ship basically where I list as well, but I have all my shipping materials at the back.
yeah,
Right here where I do shipping, I'll have my basic 6x4 boxes and some poly, not all of them, just a few of them, because I know 90% of my stuff that's going out is using that stuff. And then I don't have to go to the back. Um, yeah, but I guess we would be going into tools. So, but and I'll say it every freaking episode. Keep one spot clean.
yeah.
Like it's, and also when you walk around, trying not to have stuff you have. And I'm guilty of this right now. Is I have stuff in the way and I have to dodge when I'm going upstairs. Like that is really bad. But um,
It is bad, and it could make you have to sleep in the car or
in
down by the river with
the van.
with,
Uh,
because your significant other is going to not appreciate having to walk over that same stuff. And it, heaven forbid, Steph ever trips over something that I put
oh
there,
God,
it's
yeah,
gonna be like I
no,
just don't want to be home when that happens because
yeah. Like for all those board games I picked up on the weekend, they're all gone now.
yeah,
They did like, and today we're recording on Wednesdays. They were gone by like Monday or something like that because I don't want that stuff hanging around because like the irritation level starts ramping up at that point.
yeah,
So it's like no. Um, Another organization thing that I have been bad and good at depending is like having a day timer. And the only reason I would use it is to not forget about auctions. But honestly, what I do now, like, because nothing drives me more nuts than an online auction where I forget to bid.
yeah,
So honestly, what I do is I use my Amazon device and I actually put a timer. So I'll put like set me a timer for 36 hours from now. Because when that timer goes off, that's usually like 15 minutes before the end of the auction. And it's like, oh yeah. So I'll do that more often now than I will actually use the day timer. Like if you're good at day timers, they can be great, but I'm not I'm not good at using that. That's one step too far from me right now.
I just set my alarm, by the way, because I do have an auction tonight. So thanks, Carl.
Yeah, I tell you, one of the worst things is when you remember an auction too late and you saw something you want really cheap that you would have paid like up for, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, there's stuff I want to bid on. Plus, I have stuff in the auction I want to watch. So,
oh,
and I got
really?
to work till 6:45. Just that film cruise in. So I like
Yeah.
this week is I'm dealing with that. So I'll be there till 6:45. So I could easily have forgotten. So I just set the alarm. So I do appreciate that. But I try to write things down, but then I forget to look at the book.
I
so
lose. Yeah, me too.
so I got to write down to look at the book and another book.
The
you
the
know.
thing with the Amazon timers, like I'm usually not that far away from it, and it works because I tell you, every time that thing goes off, it's like, oh yeah, I've totally forgot because you think you're gonna remember. I don't have a good memory, so
You know, one thing I got to keep organized is when I take stuff apart, like whether I'm cleaning
like,
it or
oh
testing
no,
it,
yeah,
because I'll
yeah,
set something down and then I'll
yeah.
move it, and then I'm like, oh my god, where's the
Uh,
back for this battery part, or
where's
where's
the
the
charger?
screw?
Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? I
yeah,
remember I took down this really nice. It's a light. It's mid century modern,
yeah.
and now I had it all set up so this screw goes here because it's
Yeah.
kind of a complicated lighting system because everything has different size screws and different screws go different places. So, anyways, there's probably like 5 or 6 screws, and it all has to fit together in different
Yeah,
parts. And now I'm be like, this is going to be a puzzle now because now I have
I
to put
know.
everything in its right spot, which is going to cost me time. So now it sits on a shelf because I just don't have the time to deal with it, and I
And then
don't
it's
even
just
know if
there
I
for
know where all the
years.
screws are. So I don't.
I know. I've separated like, camcorders from their chargers and like stuff like that. I get so angry at myself, and then I
Yeah,
do the same thing. I put it on a shelf out of guilt, and then you pick up a piece like a random battery back, the little plastic for the back, and you're like,
yeah,
oh my god, what is this from?
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
what did I separate it from? I am still guilty of that. I sometimes will put things in a bag just to try and keep things together, but once it's like when you break the touch it once rule
yeah.
like that, you pay the price, and literally you pay the price because you can half the value of something, and then you get stuck with like this random equipment. But yes, that one's
I
bad.
have one of those Sega. I forget what they're called. They usually don't work, but they're like little handheld Sega something. Anyways, I was testing it, and I took the battery back off, and I cannot find it. I haven't been
Oh
able to find it in a year. So now that Sega system is
yeah,
just sitting in a box somewhere behind me, probably because I can't find the back to it, and the
yeah,
back is going to give me more money, right? So,
I know.
and I know it's in a box somewhere. I just haven't been able to find it, but it's so frustrating, and it should have been listed and sold by now. Even for parts and repair, it's worth $50. So it's so
That's the price.
frustrating.
That's the price when you don't list it right away,
Yeah,
right? But I still get caught in that occasionally when something doesn't work, but it still has value. Or like, can I get the parts? And then it gets put on a shelf, and then it rots. So I'm guilty of that. We're not perfect, but like I need to work on that. Like right now, I can see a coffee maker, like a little espresso machine. It's like if I don't list that soon, I'm gonna either lose the charger at the bottom, or I'm gonna lose the lid, or I'm gonna lose the little things that go inside. Like, but it was so much easier just to put it on the shelf over there and
it's
forget about
easy.
it for a little
Yeah,
while.
yeah. Oh, I know. And chargers are the worst because
Oh yeah,
like or the for the video games, I had a bunch. I still have a bunch of video games consoles, but all
yeah. I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say
all
the either the power cord to the
the
to the
power
console,
cords. Yeah,
or the video out cable from
yeah,
the to the TV or whatever. One of
yeah,
those is gonna get separated.
yeah. So
Yeah,
now I have one.
yeah.
I just test everything, and then I still sell the console by itself because I don't have anything else with it. So,
Oh, so bad.
but and then I'm gonna find a box, and it's gonna be
Yeah,
chock full of all these power cables. So
yeah. I
you
have
know,
bags of that.
oh,
So
it's
bad. Yeah.
so
What a bad way to end this episode of all the horrible things that were just
we're all depressed now.
organized.
We're all
Oh
depressed.
man.
But so yeah, so we're definitely the people that you want to listen to because we do it wrong. Because
Yeah, don't do what we do.
don't do what we do. But all right, Carl. Well, hey, we got through the comments and we got through another episode 27. Woo.
Yeah, that was a little scattered.
But so, well, I guess we could talk about two different things next week. We can continue on and actually touch upon tools of the trade, but I think Tina Mac's bolos would be a good one too, right? So,
Yeah, the bolos are like, I think she mentioned before, if I remember correctly, she liked the episodes where we talked about stuff.
yeah,
So we talked about postcards, photos, cameras, and medals. And those ones are good too. They just require I'm always terrified of giving bad advice when it comes to that stuff. And it takes quite a bit of work, which is why because I enjoy that stuff too, to be honest. So I don't mind doing those episodes. They just require a bit more work. And and
Or,
thought
or
in advance of like, we just can't sit down and just do it. We actually have to do our homework when it comes to, the good thing about like that as well is it forces me to not get stagnant. Like the plush, just like you just mentioned,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's like, I know plush can be valuable. I'm right next to the plush. I know the very basics of plush. I don't look at the plush. Why
yeah,
not? I've already paid the time cost. It's not like the shipping is a bit of a pain, but we should know the basics.
yeah.
Anyways, there's a lot of things like the watches are in that category, even ball caps. There are a whole bunch of things that's like we should learn the basics. And by actually doing those episodes of the Bolo episodes, it forces us to actually re-educate ourselves on it too.
All right. So we'll kind of leave it open, I guess, and we'll try to figure it out for next week. Is that
Well,
what
we'll
we're
do tools. We'll do
tools of
tools.
the trade? Okay.
Yeah, because I have notes, damn it. And I want to
Oh,
use
you
them.
have notes on it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the bolos the following week.
And we even had another subject too. I can't remember this. We're going to talk about the math of like all that stuff too. So like, hey, we have a few now. That's good.
Okay. So bolos. I don't want to just say math because we're going to lose everybody.
No, math is great. We can talk about Excel sheet for a whole hour and a half.
So we'll talk about the
just that concept, like
the concept of what makes it worth doing certain things, like selling out of an antique booth, and when does it not make sense?
Yeah, right? When is it worth driving 2 hours to pick something up, and when is it not? I'm sure we'll talk about a whole bunch of things around it. Like we'll get distracted, so having the basis.
Right. And then what was the other one? Oh, tools. Okay, yeah. Tools of the trade. Perfect. All right. So
yeah.
So we'll be back again next week. Any last comments, Carl?
Thanks for listening to all this stuff that we just spewed out. And thank you, Randy, for the comment.
And Tina Mac.
Thank you so much for the comments.
Yep. So leave a comment and we'll read it off next week's show. So we're on YouTube and Spotify, so you can leave it on either one. We're here every Friday. So
yep. Tell a friend.
Hit the subscriber button. Leave a comment.
Hit that little bell thing. I don't know what it does, but hit
that. Hit the little bell.
Oh, wow. There you go.
That was probably loud.
Well, thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah. All right. So anybody new, we're here every Friday, and Spotify and YouTube. So have a good week, everyone. Have a good week, Carl.
You too.
And we'll talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.